Next Door Neighbors is made possible by the support of the Nissan Foundation, the HCA Foundation on behalf of HCA and the TriStar family of hospitals, by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by members of Nashville Public Television.
Each year, new refugees arrive to cities like Nashville, Tennessee. They come from different backgrounds, fleeing a variety of struggles. They face an utterly new environment and a demanding sacrifice of their history and culture, friends and family. Every refugee community resettled to Nashville brings a changing combination of assets and challenges, but they are unified by a common aspiration. They all seek a better life, a permanent solution, and a new home. The ideals of refugee resettlement, however, are often at odds with reality. The isolation and new environment can be harsher than imagined. The resettlement process can deliver less than expected. For new arrivals, every day is a race against time. After 8 months, the federal funding ends and the health insurance disappears. In Nashville and across the U.S., newly arrived refugees often go unnoticed, until they emerge as contributing residents and eventually Americans.
I already thought the life is very hard in America, but we are here for a long run, not for a couple of years, just earn money and go back to our country. Because we came here to resettle forever.
When we were about to get here, we were provided an orientation. They said, USA, you start again. So it's like we have to start again here.
The Bhutanese are Nashville's newest refugee community. In January 2007, the U.S. Department of State announced it would host the resettlement of 60,000 Bhutanese over the next several years to cities across the U.S. The first Bhutanese refugees reached Nashville in July 2008, but most arrived in the middle of 2009. After their first year in Nashville, almost all of the Bhutanese live in one Southeast Nashville apartment complex.
Whenever I walk outside the road here, all the Bhutanese are here, and it's like the environment where I was. It's a good home for us, and I love this area.
When I first arrived here, I thought that the apartment was like a village. And I went to the Kroger grocery store and saw that it was like a big city, that I could buy everything from here.
The first few years are unforgettable for refugees resettled in the United States. The isolation, disorientation, cultural and linguistic barriers are at their most extreme. When refugees first arrive, they come with less than 50 pounds of baggage and an airplane ticket they will have to repay within 3 years. While a refugee's acceptance is secured by the U.S. Department of State, the local resettlement process in Nashville is provided through volunteer agencies like Catholic Charities and World Relief. Experience has shown that placing new refugees in a tight geographical location like Turtle Creek Apartments speeds up the resettlement process.
It's a very smart idea from Catholic Charities and from World Relief to put people together in the same apartment complex. Besides the resettlement agencies, community itself is the best platform for self-sufficiency. They can help each other.
Catholic Charities of Tennessee has a history of hiring caseworkers from within refugee communities. Yam Karel was one of the first Bhutanese refugees resettled to Nashville. He was hired to help with resettlement in June of 2009.
I'm good, ma'am. How are you? The refugee, they come without anything. They just come with their brain or the skill, whatever they have, but they don't have any physical property. So in the beginning, they need some time to collect their basic things like the clothing, to arrange for their food and a hygienic apartment.
My name is Narvis Dahal. I came here on 29th of October 2008. It was night time, and when I reached to my apartment, my caseworker showed some of the things like how to use the oven, and he said you can cook and everything is there in the fridge, and he went. And I was tired and exhausted because of the long journey, and just I went to bed. When I woke up, I heard before like you cannot go outside, and the caseworker told me like, do not open the door. When somebody comes and knock your door, do not open. There is a small hole, you just look outside. If you see the person, if you know, then you can open. So I felt like not to open, and just I looked from inside. I didn't see anybody, and I thought, oh man, I'm all alone in this place.
Families often arrive at different times, and it is not uncommon to have an initial family member resettled a few months before others will join them.
I was kind of concerned in the beginning when I came here by myself and there was nobody. I was waiting for a job on one hand and my family in the other. I was a little depressed when I didn't have a job, and even I had some friends who told me that it would be hard to get a job here. That added some more to my stress. But on the other hand, I thought that we had struggled. We had kind of difficult lives back in the country as well. We struggled a lot, and I thought, I have some experiences of struggling in my life, so why not? I will struggle again.
The Bhutanese refugees in Turtle Creek were forced from their country amidst a conflict rooted in ethnic, political, and religious differences. Ethnically Nepali, the Bhutanese refugees were primarily followers of the Hindu religion in a predominantly Buddhist country. Starting in the 1980s, Bhutan's monarchy began a process of discrimination that led to an ethnic cleansing of the minority population in the early 1990s. Fleeing persecution in Bhutan, the refugees made their way to Nepal, where they were placed in refugee camps with no hope to integrate into Nepali society or return to their home. Refugees, like the Bhutanese, who are confined to camps indefinitely, become known as warehoused refugees. The Bhutanese spent 18 years in southeastern Nepal, relegated to 7 camps with tenuous living conditions and few job opportunities. In refugee camps, existence is day to day, relying on international agencies for food, water, and the most basic necessities. One thing the Bhutanese refugees did have was an education system within the camp.
The great thing we got is education. Everybody you find from Nepal, if you ask, what were you doing there? They will say, I was a teacher. Teaching was the only job that we used to do there.
Life continued even in the refugee camp. If we put a bunch of birds in a cage, they can continue their generations, but they don't have any access to the outer world.
Sakar Kanal was a teacher in Nepal and a volunteer journalist in the refugee camp. He and his family arrived in Nashville on June 16, 2009.
I was really happy to be a reporter. I didn't have that much property when I was at the camp, and when I'm here, I am happy because life was not good at the camp. But I loved my job. As a reporter, that is the only possession I had, the quality of my reporting.
As a journalist, Sakar wrote articles dealing with issues in the refugee camp, and his paper gained support from international agencies working with the Bhutanese in Nepal. Sakar even received awards for his reporting.
I reported on the trafficking of women and domestic violence issues. I was really focused on those topics.
For most refugees, like Sakar, resettlement means sacrificing your former life, including your job. The jobs refugees find in the beginning are often entry-level positions, requiring no skills and providing limited opportunities.
I hoped when I got here, I could help the community as I had in the camp. When I first arrived, I was not thinking that I could easily find a job, because it is hard to find a job in the United States for the people like us. I was not thinking that the resettlement agency would be helping me my whole life. After 8 months, I will be relying on myself. I've got $7,600 of loans I have to pay. I am always counting the days. Almost 4 months have passed right now, and always I am wondering about how to feed my family after these 8 months.
Refugee resettlement is focused on making the refugees self-sufficient, making them able to stand on their own foot. And the axle of this entire thing is the job. So everything rotates around the job.
Unlike previous refugees, the Bhutanese are being resettled to the U.S. during the worst economic crisis since World War II, when refugee resettlement first began. For the Bhutanese, that means jobs are harder to come by, and refugees increasingly compete with native residents who don't have the same language and transportation barriers. The Bhutanese, like all refugees, have an 8-month window of federal funding and health insurance during which they must become self-sufficient.
It is indeed a race against time, in my personal opinion. Unfortunately, it's getting harder to get a job. So, Bhutanese refugees, those who are in Nashville, or I guess even those who are in other states, they have definitely realized that they are in a bad time. On the other hand, they really need to be resettled.
For working-age refugees, their first job is often the most significant interaction they have with American culture. But it also brings sharp focus to the transportation barrier.
The people without a car in America are like people without their feet. If people do not have their feet, they cannot move.
In orientation, they told me, you cannot cross the road. In US, it's illegal to cross the interstates, like the highway. I felt like when I go to hiding place, so many cars. I thought, oh, is this highway? And when I went to Nolensville Road, I found more cars there. I said, what's this? Is this interstate? So it was very hard for me to cross. Just I wait for some time, let the roads get no cars, and try to cross it. Again, another car from this side, again stop. So hard time for me to cross the road.
I am always worried about how to buy a car. How do I get the money? How do I take the driving test? Who will teach me? I am not even finding a person to take me to get the license right now, and I'm worried about these things. Sometimes we are trapped here. If I could have my own car, I could go anywhere. Now I'm realizing when I do have a car, I will be free in an open land.
After 2 months in Nashville, Sakara Kanal found a part-time job across town at a hotel. But getting to work was a problem.
If I have to ride the bus, it is 4 hours to go both ways. And if I can go in a car, it is 30 minutes to go and 30 minutes to come back.
Refugees seldom continue the jobs they held in their home or host countries, but there are exceptions. Guye Darji is a tailor in Turtle Creek Apartments, as he was a tailor in the refugee camp in Nepal and before in Bhutan. At age 57, Guye has already worked professionally for 50 years.
I started sewing clothes at the age of 7. For more than 50 years, I have been sewing clothes.
For Guye and his wife Nirmaya, jobs are hard to come by. They are both older and in fragile health. Guye is partially deaf and has weakening eyesight. But he has found a way to earn a few dollars by fitting and repairing the clothes refugees receive from local donations, which don't fit properly.
My husband is helping the community by fitting the clothes. Whatever people bring in, he has to ask how much money they would like to give, such as $5 or $6. He cannot demand a separate rate. When we first arrived here, he didn't want to stay here, to live here. But our son found the sewing machine, and now he is okay. When he started working here and he got a little bit of money, I feel like I'm back in the camp or in Bhutan. He had a lot of employees in the camp. When he used to have good eyes and good vision, he worked a lot of hours, like all of the days until midnight too. We collected all the money from my husband's business to get my 2 sons' education.
Nirmaya and Guye have 2 sons, one in Nashville and one in the camp awaiting resettlement.
We have to rely on my son to help with income. I hope that if both of my sons, the son which is there in the camp, if he arrives here, and with the little bit of money that my husband makes, then we will own our life.
Yeah, this support is very, very short. It is 8 months. People don't learn about anything within 8 months. So when there is no job, when there is no food stamp, no any opportunity, then people get frustration. People get depressed. This is my experience in the United States, washing dishes. And I was very much depressed on that day because I never thought that I would be a dishwasher. I worked for 2 days, and first time he told me to give $8, but he gave $7.55 per hour. Like that job is good for those people who never have been to school, aiming for good things, aiming for a good future. Most of the people I see there, they are not educated. They are not educated. They just do work. They finish. They go for same work next day. But for us, I think we are trying to have some kind of good life at least, because we have studied, we have struggled a lot to have some good future. So I am looking, just dreaming for something better job which can help me to progress.
Some people from Catholic Charities and somebody from the Bhutanese community, they found an employer in Smyrna who would hire a bunch of Bhutanese at a time. Smyrna is pretty far from Turtle Creek, so there were problems of transportation. But they came up with the idea of hiring a taxi.
21, did you get back in? 21.
Almost all of the taxi drivers, they were refugees, and most of them from Somalia, so they understand the situation. When a taxi driver gives a ride, he can explain his experiences to the refugees, or he can tell them about the differences, how it was during his time and how it is now.
The American dream is built on the principle that opportunity is earned by hard work and merit, not offered by privilege or refused by prejudice. For Bhutanese refugees, their experience in Nepal and Bhutan has been shaped by the Hindu caste system, where one's occupation is assigned by birth.
Based on Hindu culture, there are 4 major castes. People have their professions based on what caste they have. The lower caste people were engaged in serving these people of 3 castes. Most of the tailors are from the lower caste. I personally know that tailoring is a good job, but there are some people, they feel that tailoring is a job that a lower caste people do, and that makes people inferior.
The fact is, some of our volunteer and case workers, they had organized a picnic near downtown, and people like me from the low caste, we went there. First time I went there, I started, serving myself, and then I went there and I started serving, and other people follow me, other Christian people, other low caste people. But I found some old people, they didn't eat that food which I touched. I felt really sad.
There are some people, even in Nashville, who don't want to drink the water touched by a people from the lower caste. But their children, they don't follow, because there is no caste system in United States, and very soon the growing generations, they will forget about these things.
While refugee resettlement offers safety and prospects for a new life, the most opportunities are available to the youngest refugees. Public education will provide them an immersion into American culture that their parents may never find.
I cannot say for the little boy, but my daughter, I think she understood. We had completed our refugee life, and life would be better and future will be good here. She was very excited when we started the process to have a new life in America. She was happy when she started going to school the first day.
For Anita, school was nothing like the life she knew in Turtle Creek. But she had no idea how it would feel when she got on the bus that first day.
When I got onto the school bus, there were other Nepali friends. I didn't feel anything bad. But when I got to school, I didn't see any friends. I didn't have any Nepalese in my group, so I felt kind of lonely. It was normal in the first and in the second period. I felt kind of uncomfortable to adjust with the others, though, and in the third period, I couldn't read or get to my class. I was lost for a while. After that, I got out for lunch. They served the food, and the food was really stinky to me, and I nearly vomited. I just looked at it. The food was similar to a kind of bread I had in Nepal, and it had a kind of meat, some kind of meat that I thought I would like, that I'd already tasted. But when I bit it, it was not what I thought.
Hot dogs.
When I came home, I explained to my mom about the way I was lonely, and I didn't like the school. And I even told my mom that I wouldn't go back.
When she returned home, she was pretty upset because she did not find her friend who was Nepali. And every period, she had to move from one room to another. She didn't sleep the whole night. She just wept.
Anita reluctantly returned to school the next day, expecting the worst.
Mom tried to encourage me to go to school. I thought that the second day would be like the first day, but when I reached the school, I found some other Nepali kids in my class, and I was really comforted compared to the first day. There are a lot of differences from the first day and where I am now. Like in the beginning, I used to get lost a lot of times, and I couldn't locate my classes. But right now, I have a lot of friends, and I can speak English as well as the others do. So there are a lot of differences, and I am pretty comfortable now. Even the American food started growing on me, and I really like the hamburger and the chicken. But I don't like the hot dog yet.
Often those refugees who first experience success are those who speak English. Many Bhutanese were educated in English in the refugee camps. For those who have found a job and built some savings, their first purchase is often a cell phone, and their second, a car. With those two possessions, their lives are changed dramatically.
When I got the job, it changed my life. And I got paid for the first couple of weeks, and then I got a cell phone, and then I got a car. Once I get the job, I was a little busy. When I get a cell phone, I'm more busy, more calls. And when I got a car, I was real busy. I was busy all the time. Oh, bro.
Those Bhutanese, like Naresh Dahal, that speak English and have transportation become unofficial caseworkers, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, helping their community.
Hello? Hello?
The people, they started calling me, hey, I have to go to the Indian market. Hello? Can you take me there? Okay. I need to get a bag of rice because it weighs 50 pounds and it's hard to carry all the way from store to my home. Okay. I have to go to the hospital. So I have appointment there. So can you take me to the carrier center? I need to fill up forms for Tyson's. Okay. Like the people, first they call and what time your work starts? 4 o'clock. Can you help me now? So my job starts from 4 and they're calling at 5 or 6 in the morning. So I cannot say I'm busy because my job starts from 4. Okay, so I can't say no.
Without a job or transportation, elderly refugees find fewer opportunities to interact with Americans. Older refugees often lack language skills.
Right now, I can write only the alphabet, A, B, C, D, but I cannot make any word. Language is the most difficult transition for me.
Good morning, good morning.
While most Bhutanese refugees are followers of the Hindu religion, The Rai family is Christian. Bhutanese Christians, as well as some Hindus, have found another way to interact with American culture through a church close by Turtle Creek Apartments.
I think before my family, Christchurch didn't know that there is a Bhutanese Christian community. We had been doing services at one apartment. Members of Christchurch, they decided to give us a room at Christchurch, and we are doing the services there. Christchurch has been helping not only me, but all those people who need to learn to drive or need a ride to the medical hospital. Christchurch has been helping in many ways.
We have only two different backgrounds. One is high caste and one is low caste. And other thing, we have one Hinduism and other Christianity. In Christianity, there is no caste system. So because of that also, many people from so-called low caste, they convert to Christianity, where they get respect, where they get love, where they are treated as human beings.
By the fall of 2009, roughly 1/3 of the Bhutanese refugees expected to find resettlement in the U.S. have arrived. Already, the experiences of new arrivals are different from those who came first. New arrivals find an intact community in Turtle Creek Apartments and support through the experienced friends and family that preceded them.
And when I came to know the arrival date of my brothers, I was really excited. I could not wait to see them. And I was extremely happy to see them in the airport. My happiness knew no bounds. The situation changed when the rest of my family members arrived. Like, when I was just by myself, I was kind of in a confined situation, and I did not have anywhere to go. But when my brothers came here and had their own apartment, I at least had a place to go and meet them and share the joys and sadness of life.
Back in Nepal, like, the future of the people were determined by the caste. If we still were in one of the remote villages of Nepal, Guye's son's future and my future would have a different way. There would be some people, they would guarantee he will be a tailor. But here, that doesn't work. Guye's son can be a professor, can be a journalist, or can be anything depending on his skill and depending on his education. This is the Aura Surwal. It's the national dress of Nepal, and it is significant for the Nepalese. So I'm very excited about it, and I never expected that I would find someone who could sew such a fabulous dress. It's really nice. I'm excited. I just want to use this for the first time for my wedding and for some celebrations, occasional celebrations.
And could you tell us when your wedding is?
It is tomorrow.
For the Bhutanese, each day brings changes to their community. New families arrive, and new families are made. Each week, another family finds a way to buy a car, and their kids learn more about what it means to be American. The first 2 years present many challenges, which refugees take on for the possibility of a better life.
Turtle Creek is indeed a cradle for the Bhutanese community. That's where they are born and that's where they grow up. But now when they get their wings and when they get their feathers, I'm sure they start flying to better places. But in 1 year's time, it will not be as it is now. I'm pretty sure like the people will be scattered.
These Bhutanese are now known as Bhutanese refugees, but after a year, when we have our green card in our hand, the tag of refugee will disappear, and we will no longer be refugees. The tag of refugee will no longer be behind my name.
After 5 years, we will be American. We'll have citizenship. That's what we're supposed to have. After 5 years, we will be somebody in this world. And that's a great, great, great joy.